This is the Jeep Comanche project. This started off life as a 1988 Jeep Comanche, and this has been a project that's been in project hell for 10 years or 12 years now, depending on how you look at it. So, not a whole lot's gotten done in a long time, so I'm finally back into this and went a little different direction. And today I'm hoping to get in and paint the engine bay and get through that so I can start reinstalling stuff. So what's going on with this project is that it's an 88 and I'm installing the dash and everything out of a 2001 Cherokee. So it's basically gonna get updated to kind of 2001 Cherokee spec stuff. So the firewall's been modified to accommodate the newer dash. There's an extra plug that goes through, wiring harness plug that goes through that corner. So drilled out a hole for that. The steering column hole's in a little different place. So we've got the XJ plate in there, squeezed and bolted in, and then seam sealed around on an opened up firewall from the Comanche. So the Comanche steering column's kind of down here. Open this up and then glued in the plate as an adapter. Over here, the original Comanche plug used those two screws to hold it on. So I just took a section out of the 2001 Cherokee firewall and used the two bolts to hold it down with some seam sealers. So now that wiring harness will pop into that hole. As you can see, it's a little squared off. The wiring still fits in there fine with the big rubber plug. So I didn't feel the need to kind of oval that out. Let's see, this is a new hole for the automatic transmission shifter cable, and that's what actually goes from the shifter out and then down to the transmission, so we had to add that in. This hole is the same for the automatic transmission computer goes there. So, and then there's a couple other unused holes in the firewall that I'll end up having to plug now, including this one, but I still have the plug for it that came out. So one other modification is I had to drill a different hole over here for the newer HVAC box. But otherwise all the other HVAC holes line up. These two nutserts were added along with these two screws because there's a different bracket inside this bracket that holds the automatic shifter computer, and then there's a holder right here for the dash wiring harness. So swap that in from the donor as well. You can see there's my plates on the inside for the firewall. Seats, use a different bracket, so seat brackets, modified, cut a little bit for that hump right there, and then welded in. So let's see. We've gotten through all that so far, done some sanding and some primering up here to get this ready. So the plan for today is to shoot the engine bay, the cowl, and the pillars. And I'm gonna stop the paint just below the drip rail here. So I'm not prepping the whole cab and everything at once because I wanna get this painted and get it curing and everything. And then start installing stuff. And then all the other things that need to be painted, doors and bed and cab and everything else, I'll try to do at one time. But at least this stuff I can get it done and get the engine installed and a whole bunch of other things and actually make a bunch of progress on this project ready, instead of spending a bunch of time doing body work, which granted it's not like it needs a ton of body work, but you know there's a lot of prep work that goes into making a paint job look good, and it does make sense to paint everything at once. But when I do this, I want to take the bed off to get, you know, the back side of the cab well, and so that's just a whole big project to do all that. So I'm just limiting the scope right now, even if it loses me some efficiency by just painting the firewall and engine bay today. So that's the painting I'm hoping to get done. Over here, you'll see there's waiting to go in this freshly rebuilt engine. And this was a junkyard engine I pulled, and then it turned out to have more wear than I really wanted from an engine. So it ended up getting rebuilt, and it also ended up getting rebuilt into a 4.6 liter stroker. So this is all put back together, ready to go. Basically it's set up, it's gonna be set up like a 2001 engine. It's got the 0331 head on it with coil rail. This is just totally used head. Didn't really touch it at all. But the block's been totally gone through. At some point in the future, if I want to, I'll get a different 0331 head or get the high performance like Edelbrock aluminum or something, but I just decided to leave the used head for now because, you know, it's a Saturday afternoon job to swap out a head on these engines. It's so easy. Did switch out. See, this is a different style of exhaust. This is not the 2000 or 2001 exhaust, so this is a kind of a 99 style of exhaust manifold. So we're gonna wind up with a 2000-ish type of engine with a 99 exhaust system because it's a little bit higher clearance. So, yep, that's where I'm at. I've got some new paint that I haven't used before, Omni Plus, which is a little bit of a value brand, but since this is getting a full repaint, we're not trying to color match. I'm hoping that gives me a good value on the paint. That's the base coat, which you can kind of get away with using not as expensive paint on, especially if you're doing a total color change respray. And then I've got this Chromax clear coat, which I haven't used before, but is a higher end clear coat. So I'll be using that. And if I were trying to color match existing panels or, you know, only like spray one panel and blend, I'd probably go for a more expensive base coat than this and try to get the color match better, because you can get different variations of different shades of a particular paint code, but this is just one code. So that's fine for this. You know, you can go kind of cheap on your base because it gets sealed by the clear coat. But if you do need to match paints or match a partially painted vehicle, spending more money on a better base will get you a better color match and a better blend. So base coat gets mixed 1-to-1 with the reducer. I've got medium reducer because it's not the middle of summer, middle of winter. It is a little chilly today, so I'm probably gonna wish I had a little faster reducer, but I gotta do what I gotta do. Mixing cups. So you've got all your different mixing ratios on there. Kind of hard to see, but that helps you measure out the right amount of paint. This does not get diluted at all. You know, you mix reducer to dilute that at 1-to-1. The clear coat doesn't get mixed with any reducer, but it does get this activator hardener mixed in with it, and I don't remember this ratio off the top of my head. But you know, you use a certain amount of this with a certain amount of this. Mix them up in the paint can mixing cup and put them into your gun. So there's the start of it. I need to get to masking and get everything covered, and you always have to be real careful about overspray because there's going to be lots of vapor floating around in here that's going to want to settle on my toolbox and a bunch of other stuff. All right, time to get to work.